Monday, the 15th day of May 2023. Hello there and welcome to News Tonight here on UBC TV. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. In our top stories tonight, a medical examination report reveals that Wabwire is mentally stable. Ministry of Water and Environment seeks funding to tackle effects of climate change. Ministry of Works and Transport introduces an alternative Entebbe-Nakiwojo water transport route. And in sports, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania join bid to host the 2027 edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. Hello there and welcome once again. We're coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukindi Edward Kijanangoma. And later on in this program, we do expect to have the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Bariomusi, and we're looking at various issues, especially the ongoing manifesto week, but also looking at other issues, including gun violence. What is happening and how can government change or arrest that situation? Now, President Yoweri Museveni has this afternoon received a special message from his counterpart, His Excellency Salva Kiir of South Sudan. The message was delivered to President Museveni at Baralege State Lodge in Okwang Sub-County or Tuke District by the Special Envoy of President Salva Kiir, Honorable Dr. Benjamin Bolmel Kual. The Special Envoy was accompanied by the Ambassador of South Sudan to Uganda, His Excellency Ambassador Simon Juach Deng, among others. Take a watch. Now, Ivan Wabwire, a police constable, has been implicated in a premeditated murder case of a moneylender in a calculated act of violence. Wabwire used an AK-47 to kill the Indian national and later fled to Busia, where he was arrested by flying squad. A medical examination report has now revealed that Wabwire is mentally stable. There is an ongoing investigation involving unreconciled express penalty tickets worth billions of Ugandan shillings, which has led to transfers within the traffic police. That and much more in the following story.
Uganda police conducted a medical examination on Ivan Wabwire, a police constable who killed a moneylender named Utam Bandari at Raja Chambers along Parliamentary Avenue. The examination found no signs of mental instability in Wabwire.
So he was well oriented and very aware of his activities.
According to the police, the killing was planned by Wabwire and the incident was reported more than 2 hours after it occurred.
Up to this stage, there was no suspicion because there was no report that was received. I think all the staff in the offices, everybody scampered for their dear life.
This delay allowed the suspect to return the gun used in the crime to the Central Police Station before fleeing to Busia, where he was intercepted and apprehended
While trying to cross into Kenya. So I want to thank the arresting teams for a job well done.
Investigations have revealed that Wabwire was sharing a room with PC Stephen Mulomba, who had left his gun behind to respond to an emergency. Wabwire seized this opportunity and accessed an AK-47, which he misused to carry out the premeditated murder. Consequently, Stephen Mulomba has been arrested and suspended from the police force due to negligence.
PC Mulomba should have returned this gun to the armorer before moving out of the station. But without lawful permission, he sneaked out of the station to attend to a personal matter, which is an outright case of gross indiscipline.
During the interrogation, Wabwire showed no remorse and admitted to killing the victim due to alleged cheating in relation to his loan portfolio.
And we've even taken him to the magistrate for an extrajudicial statement.
In another development, the police have launched an investigation into unreconciled express penalty tickets worth 3.5 billion Ugandan shillings. As a result, senior traffic police officers, including Farida Nampima, the traffic police spokesperson, have been transferred.
Was transferred to PRO's office at police headquarters, so she's now here with us. Then Ansasere Claire was transferred also from traffic to police headquarters, and SP Auma Sylvia was also transferred to police headquarters. So those are the circumstances under which these officers were transferred to police headquarters.
Relatedly, the police are currently investigating an attack on Farida Nampima and her husband by assailants, accompanied by a dog. The attackers, armed with machetes, stole property valued at 9 million Ugandan shillings during the incident.
So the officer is safe and was assaulted, but didn't get severe injuries.
Tragically, the guard, identified as Kintu Salongo Matia, was killed during the attack. Marion Awori and Ivan Kahwa for UBC.
Now, the Ministry of Water and Environment wants more funding to reinforce government efforts in mitigating the effects of climate change. In the wake of increased flooding in the country, Minister Sam Cheptoris decries corruption and the low number of environmental protection police officers in the country. This was during the beginning of the Manifesto Implementation Week, where environment and water agencies explained progress, challenges and future prospects.
In the progress report from the Ministry of Water and Environment, all wetlands were mapped and coded, over 1,400 demarcated, and about 26,000 hectares restored. This is according to what the ministry has presented to the country as part of the NRM Manifesto implementation progress.
It is not the Ministry of Water and Environment alone. Each and every Ugandan should ensure that the environment is protected.
Seen happening here is land preparation for rice growing at Luera wetland. Both local and modern methods are used. Hand hose and mechanized farming practices are applied. This unfortunately comes with climate change effects, as NEMA affirms, Luera being a wetland.
What's important is to invest more in climate proofing as well as climate mitigation. Climate mitigation in the sense that we must restore the ecosystem, remove the degradation, remove encroachment, plant more trees, but also we must invest in climate adaptation.
At a time like this, when floods have destroyed homes, paralyzed transport, and displaced farmers, what explains this?
Wetlands are like sponges, they are like mattresses. They hold the water so that the water speed is slowed down, and then they release the water when we need water. So any misuse of wetlands, including building of factories, construction of roads, growing of rice, sand mining, they all affect the capacity of the wetland to hold the water.
The challenge could be worsened by illegal sand mining, said to be exacerbated by impunity, which affects ecosystem restoration.
You can invest in infrastructure. You can promote economic advancement. But when you forget environment can come back and take you backwards 50 years back. It wastes all the development investments you've put in place.
The ministry also explained the relationship with the Agriculture Ministry on irrigation.
Water for irrigation is a shared mandate, and all subsequent programs that we are implementing follow this path. If there are any coordination issues, the irrigation policy also recognizes that if there are any issues that arise out of implementation, we are coordinated by the Interministerial Technical Committee and chaired by Office of the Prime Minister. That is also provided for in the policy.
To consolidate achievements and address challenges, more technical and financial support is still needed from government.
We must accept the fact that climate change has come to stay. We must accept that fact. These rains you are now seeing, this is just the beginning of the problem.
Henry Okrut, UBC.
Now, Forum for Democratic Change wants Ugandans to demand for a right to security by discussing information on increasing insecurity on different social media platforms. FDC Deputy Spokesperson John Kijanangoma told the media at the FDC headquarters in Kijanangoma that in the killing of Ichuli, police rushed to give information before making preliminary investigations. We have more in this story.
In the last 1-2 weeks, there have been murders by shooting by security personnel, the army and police, causing panic to members of the public. FDC has attributed the murder of the state minister, Charles Sengola, and the Indian moneylender to the poor welfare in the police and army. Deputy spokesperson FDC John Kijanangoma urges the public to be careful on people who carry guns and doctors who use injections, emphasizing that Private Sabiti, who killed Engola, had both anger and malice.
The government should look into this. People are very angry. Ugandans are very stressed. They are financially badly off. It's just because these people have guns. If all Ugandans had guns, I think it would have been a different story. Going to crying everywhere. My salary. My wife is not getting a medicine. Do they have hospitals where they can take their wives for childbearing? If this man had enough food in his stomach and his people were okay, maybe he wouldn't have shot our minister.
FDC also questions the information from police on contradicting information on weapons used to murder Jaja Ichuli and the mental state of Afande Wabwine, who murdered the Indian moneylender.
Of the police fighting with these people on social media to show that they bring out the news before anybody brings it out. How can a police PRO who has these scene of crime officers on ground come out and tell the public that the gun which shot Mr. Ichuli is an SMG? You have officers there. Why don't you wait for them at least for 2 hours to give you preliminary investigations? But he came out to tell us SMG. It turned out later it is a pistol. Now this gentleman, they told us the man is mentally sick.
Police, however, clarifies on the shooting.
Examined him, the surgeons examined him and they found that he's very normal and sound. After the extrajudicial statement, we are going to have a psychiatrist also examine his mental condition.
The party has called on Ugandans to demand for their right of security.
Sometime back there was it a Twitter handle? Port was in Kampala. Just talking. Did the people concerned hear it?
I'm Nafka Farida in Kijanangoma.
Thanks, Farida, for that story there. Now, government is conducting verification exercise for all public servants to ascertain the number of people employed by government. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, Ramadan Gobi, says the exercise is being conducted by Office of the Auditor General, emphasizing that whoever fails to comply risks scrapping off from a government payroll for the next financial year.
Government is conducting a physical verification exercise to establish the actual number of people on the payroll.
How many people are employed by the government of Uganda? If you ask that question, you will not get an answer. You will get approximately this, approximately that. We want to know how many people are employed by the government of Uganda, by each entity, earning how much each, and so on and so forth, all those relevant questions. There has been laxity in the management of the payroll. Next financial year would want to stamp out.
The exercise will address wage gaps that government has faced on registering both permanent and temporary staff.
In such that we plan adequately. Those who are on the payroll and off payroll, we need to know, because we don't want you as an accounting officer to tell us that you have 50 people when actually you have 80 people. Only those who are not physically verified will be deemed not to be workers of the government of Uganda, and therefore they will be taken off the payroll.
This will reduce supplementary budgets that seek more money for wages.
This year we have reduced, and next year we hope we shall reduce them further. And our mission is to stamp out all uncalled for supplementary and justifiable supplementary, especially those which are eliminating out of that indiscipline I've talked about, and also failure to plan and budget correctly.
The special audit verification exercise is at the end of June 2023 before the Auditor General submits a report that determines who remains on payroll. Miriam Wumcha, UBC News.
To Somalia now, where the new force commander for the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia has arrived in the country to take up his duties. Lieutenant General Sam Okiding arrived in the capital, Mogadishu, and immediately got down to work. He succeeds Lieutenant General Diomed Ndegea from Burundi, who completed his tour of duty late last year.
Lieutenant General Okiding was officially received at the ATMIS Force Headquarters by the Deputy Force Commander in charge of Operations and Plans, Major General Marius Ngendabanka, and other senior military officers. Before holding a series of closed-door briefings, he inspected a guard of honor from a contingent of Uganda People's Defense Forces. Lieutenant General Kiding, who was immediately brought up to speak on the current security situation in the country, said his key priority would be to ensure a smooth transition of security responsibilities to Somali security forces while consolidating the gains made.
The most important thing is to support the Somali National Security Forces in accordance with the CONOPS. All stakeholders will have to play a role, and my work is to give direction on the side of the military, but we shall work out together.
Lieutenant General Kiding brings a wealth of experience to the mission, spanning over 40 years, having joined the Uganda military in 1980. He is no stranger to Somalia. He previously served as the commander of Uganda troops in Somalia from November 2015 to January 2017. Prior to his appointment as the ATMIS Force Commander, Lieutenant General Okiding was the Deputy Commander of UPDF Land Forces. A graduate in international relations, Lieutenant General Okiding has undertaken several military courses in peacekeeping operations, global terrorism, and international humanitarian law at national, regional, and international levels.
The Joint Security Forces of the UPDF and Police Anti-Stock Theft Unit in Karamoja have designated 2 routes for transporting livestock out of the sub-region. Trucks with animals from South Karamoja will use the Moroto-Soroti Road, and those from North Karamoja will pass Kabong via Karenga District.
Or the livestock stealing was for acquisition, for self-protection, and to some extent for pride.
According to locals, riders connive with traders and use shortcuts to drive stolen animals out of Karamoja sub-region. This has made it hard for security forces to recover the stolen animals.
The traders who locate vehicles strategically somewhere, facilitated by their mobile network of today, the mobile phone network, and they keep on coordinating to say we are here.
It's from this background that the joint security forces in Karamoja have designated 2 routes for transporting livestock out of the sub-region.
Moroto, Sorot Road, and from Kabong to Karenga. All other routes have been restricted.
If we verify all the animals which are living in Karamoja, then to some extent we have full commercialized rates. As I reported last week that through these checkpoints and these measures we have put, we have been able to recover over 300 animals.
In what period?
From January up to now.
But locals have mixed reactions on this move.
Orders we have, then they should be able to track all along the corridors to avoid anybody sneaking with these animals through Panya roads.
Also, it shouldn't be alone in itself. That's why I was saying some scrutiny at the roadblocks should be done.
Be able to regulate the flow of animals, and if there's a complaint of any raid, we shall be able, the owners will be able to come at our checkpoints and inspect the animals on the tracks for its identification.
During the change of command at the 3rd Division headquarters, forces advised leaders to consider registering and branding their animals.
Reported the 50 today. How can a day after a raid in 1 week's time now take 100? So we think that branding, registration, the UPDF bring security and peace to Karamoja.
Fellows are too clever. What they do where there is a brand, they get a panga, put it in the fire, and when it becomes red, they burn the animal there and the brand disappears.
Meanwhile, leaders have a message for the new 3rd Division Commander, Major General Don Nabasa.
As come and work together with all these organs, then from there, Karamoja will isolate the wrong elements. What the Karamoja want is somebody who talks.
Commercialized raids have led to the disappearance of Karamoja animals to the neighboring countries of Kenya and South Sudan.
Twenty-one minutes after 8 in the studios of UBC TV. We'll now take a short break, but we'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
Jerry-con! Jerry-con! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Bang Jerry-con with muscle! Those ones who say go is for you only. Mundava! Best movies I teach you. But I'm going to move squad because of the camera that is very far. Is you serious? It's serious, you. What? Eh? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs. And you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru. And Umaru refused to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
This is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
Their support meant so much to me. And as a teenage girl, I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Where does it come from? That thing that makes us Ugandan. That thing that makes us different from everybody else. Where does it grow infinitely? Some say it's in our history, in our culture, and in our hearts, in our warm smiles and vast miles of coffee, dairy farmland, and amazing maize fields. It's in our inherent pursuit to always be better, to never stop growing and glowing. So you see, we are more than just a waving flag. We are a nation of sweat and skills, a nation of ideas and inventions. But what truly makes us Ugandan is our quest to improve the quality of life for Ugandans by creating sustainable jobs, businesses, and improving household incomes. That's what makes us Uganda Development Bank. Uganda Development Bank, inspiring development.
Did you know that you can safely and conveniently make your school fees payments anytime, any school, anywhere using Airtel Money? Oh yes! Simply pick up your phone and dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Choose between school pay, peg pay, or shore pay. Enter student number. Enter amount, confirm name and transaction. Enter Airtel Money PIN. A confirmation message will be sent to you upon a successful transaction. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. A warm welcome to those of you just joining us on sign language. It is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukindi Edward Kijanangoma. Let's talk business now. All marketing companies are advised to regularly cross-check with standards to ensure their products, such as petrol and diesel, before offloading at various gas stations and fuel reserves. The appeal was made at a stakeholder meeting on fuel marking and quality monitoring. It was observed that undisciplined truck drivers are involved in product tampering for quick financial gains to the detriment of the final consumer. Dennis Tigoa reports.
Uganda marks all the fuels that come into the country for purposes of trying to curb vices of adulteration, smuggling and fuel dumping. So far, compliance rate is at 99.7%, up from non-compliance rate of about 30% 5 years ago.
Our rating is really high. We are among the world best practices, and we have had a number of countries actually coming to benchmark or learn lessons, how do we, and really to compare notes in the recent past. That is the way we move.
According to the relevant authorities, the 0.03% of non-compliance is linked to undisciplined drivers who tamper with the product, mainly petroleum on transit. The vice is rampant in the eastern region of the country.
We have been able to find that most of those non-compliance arise out of transportation from one point to another.
Maybe are these the drivers or?
Yeah, the drivers mainly, the drivers and the turnboy. They branch somewhere, they take off the good product, they add in a bad product. In my presentation, I mentioned eastern region. Along Naluwerere, Bujiri, Busitema, that's where that vice is more typical, especially when those trucks have just come in through that eastern route.
It's on this backdrop that the oil marketing companies are advised to cross-check their products before offloading.
Mainly petrol, which is costing high. Because if somebody is able to sell a petrol, when he has added in a little of kerosene, he's selling that petrol, that kerosene at the price of kerosene. It's mainly petrol. Although diesel also now, they do the tamper with the quality of the product.
Adulterated fuel leads to loss in performance and efficiency and often causes vehicle breakages as a result of premature engine failure. Dennis Igor for UBC Business.
Sports news now, and we're looking at football. In a monumental collaborative effort, Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania have joined forces and submitted a compelling bid to host the highly anticipated 2027 edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. President William Ruto expressed the EEC's collective commitment to harnessing the rich skills and talents prevalent in East Africa's sporting landscape. Speaking passionately about the bid, President Ruto highlighted the transformative potential it holds for the entire East African community. The governments of Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania envision this bid as a catalyst for regional unity and prosperity, with a focus on leveraging the power of sports as a unifying force.
But I am very confident that this bid that brings together the solidarity of the East African countries, Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya, together to jointly co-host this bid will be a success. I have already consulted with my counterparts in Uganda and Tanzania on all of us working together jointly on this bid, and we have all agreed that this is going to be an opportunity for East Africa, and the games will be played, the different teams will be played in our different countries. We will work on the mechanics, we will work on the timetable, and we will work on ensuring that we are all ready for this tournament when it finally happens. I want to ask all of us, as part of our commitment to this very important sector, the sector of sports and creative art, that we rally our forces. I want to ask the people, the stakeholders in this sector, the private sector, the sportsmen and women, the teams in this sector, to begin to focus their energies in ensuring that this sector, we take it back to where we all have wanted it to be.
We'll now take yet another short break, but when we return, we shall be joined by the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Bariomusi. And we're looking at various issues that are affecting Ugandans today, especially with the ongoing manifesto week, but also what government is trying to do as far as arresting gun violence or misuse is concerned. Stay tuned.
you are with the new Spark 10 series smartphone from Airtel in partnership with Tecno. Own the timelines with picture-perfect selfies using the 32-megapixel selfie camera, 256 GB storage, G88 gaming processor, and a strong battery to last the whole day. Towakana.
The Spark 10 smartphone comes with free 3 GB from Airtel and 100% bonus on weekly and monthly bundles every month for 3 months, so you can stay connected to a world of possibilities. Dial *100*5# to enjoy free data. The new Spark 10 is available in all selected Techno shops countrywide. Airtel, the smartphone network in partnership with Tecno. Stop at nothing.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
Talk with freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100*21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
Juko. Yo. What you go? Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life. Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Look no further. Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money. We have revised our rates, and now sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Plus, you can trust Airtel Money to get your money where it needs to go quickly and safely. Simply dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
Their support meant so much to me, and as a teenage girl, I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Welcome back from that break, and of course, before we went for that break, we told you that we would be talking about certain issues that are affecting Ugandans, and some of the things that we're going to look at include the Manifesto Week, also things to do with social media. And joining me in the studio is the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomusi. Dr. Honorable, good evening and welcome.
Yes, good evening, and thank you very much for hosting me, and thank you very much, viewers. Good evening to all of you watching UBC.
Always a pleasure. Have you, Doctor?
Thank you.
Now let's get into this. Of course, the Manifesto Week started, the NRM Manifesto Week, and it was launched by the Prime Minister. And a lot, different ministries have, been presenting their achievements. Probably like to tell us the progress so far. I mean, ever since, the manifesto was announced, NRM Manifesto. What have been some of the achievements so far?
Yes, thank you very much. Just to remind ourselves that 2 years ago, Ugandans went to the ballot and voted for NRM on the basis of the manifesto which we sold to Ugandans. Which manifesto is a document that spells out what we pledged to implement and do for Ugandans if we are voted into power. And now we have marked 2 years into leadership, and just the other day the Prime Minister led us to announce that we have begun a period of the Manifesto Week where we are now assessing how we have performed in the last 2 years since Ugandans elected us as NRM. And let me say that NRM being voted was a continuation of NRM. So basically NRM has been continuing with what it started. Our programs have been focusing on service delivery, for instance, ensuring that we extend tarmac roads all parts of the country. We continue to construct schools and ensure that every sub-county has a secondary school. That's why we've been constructing seed schools in the various sub-counties, vetting health center 2s into health center 3s and 3s to 4. The program has been going on constructing these health facilities. We also have a flagship program of fighting poverty, the parish development model, which we've been designing and which is now operational in terms of having sent money to parishes. So we've been working, and for us as NRM, we are confident we've been able to achieve and register progress in many areas. But of course, these are 2 out of 5 years. So we are still having 3 years to go. But like you heard the Prime Minister announcing the other day, that our assessment indicates we've performed up to like 27% of the manifesto, which is good enough. We are not doing very badly.
Okay,
yes.
Doctor, when you talk about 27% performance, and these are only 2 years, these are 2 years, yes, but does it not scare you in the next 3 years? Do you think you'll have achieved the other?
No, first of all, we have to remind ourselves that we went into the polls during a COVID period, at the height of COVID-19, and we concluded elections and even it got worse. So there was that disruption due to COVID-19. We got Ebola along the way, and of course we had to divert lots of resources to fight these pandemics. So we lost some time to deliver on some of the pledges, but these, thankfully, have been sorted out, and now we are moving. So we shall be able to catch up.
Okay.
Of course, we are getting challenges like these heavy rains, which are destroying parts of the infrastructure, but we should be able to achieve close to 100% by the time we come to 2026. So we are on the right path.
And we thank you for that. But also, it's good you've actually talked about challenges. Today we were looking at a presentation from the Kampala Ministry. And of course, you see that they were giving quite a number of challenges that they face, especially a challenge to do with financing. Some of the programs, the projects that you envisaged in your manifesto probably might not be achieved. What can you say about that?
Yes, because we are unable to fully finance our budget 100%. We have to borrow and get grants, and at times there are delays in procuring these resources, which then occasion some delays. But also I think there are weaknesses within our government processes. Like even when we get some of these loans and monies from international partners, to translate them into activities, there is a delay, which we are trying to cure as a government. The procurement processes sometimes are too bureaucratic. Like now the Ministry of ICT is helping so that we can automate some of these processes and remove these bottlenecks and these statutory delays. So we are improving some of these processes. Yes, there are those challenges, but overall, we should be able to make reasonable progress by the end of the 5-year period. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable. Of course, that is a topic that we can discuss.
Yes, and these 2 weeks, the different sectors, different ministries of government are going to be presenting to the public the achievements so far registered, the challenges that the ministries face, and how much has been done. So ministry by ministry, and we want feedback from the public. We would want to know whether you feel the impact of these interventions, where you feel we should improve as government. Give us feedback, give us where you think government should do better, so that we improve in the remaining period to satisfy all of us Ugandans.
And feedback indeed you'll get, and of course this is the right place. We shall go out and talk to the citizenry, and we shall
and
give
also
you the feedback.
we call upon our leaders in the districts that while the ministers shall be presenting from Kampala, but we expect the district leaders led by the RDCs to also have discussions on our local radios and televisions on the achievements of NRM in the last 2 years. The government leaders should present what has been done, and let the public also react. Are the services reaching you? Are you satisfied with what we are doing as a government? So that we get feedback at the local level and national level, and that feedback will help us to improve the programs which we have designed to support our people in Uganda, because we are there because of them, because of you Ugandans.
And of course they are the ones who voted you into power.
Absolutely.
Now,
so we would want to see whether they are satisfied with what we are doing as a government.
Doctor, that is one of the things that we really wanted to talk about. But now there are also other things that have been, going on, and of course the current weather. The weather patterns changing, and today we see so much rain, and of course recently Katonga Bridge being affected, being swept away. Now UNRWA says for them to construct a new bridge, it will take them about 6 months, and what is happening today is that transport has been affected, but especially trade. Traders, goods cannot, cross, and we understand the alternative route is also very bad. What's your take, your say on that?
First of all, it's unfortunate that the heavy rains destroyed our bridge, the Katonga Bridge, but also, like we discussed last time, other parts of the country, like in Chigezi, in Wenzori, there has been a lot of damage, including loss of lives, and now, because of the breakage of the Katonga Bridge, transport to Western Uganda is a little bit challenged. But thankfully, there is an alternative route through Mpigi, Kanoni, Gomba, Sembabule, Vira, Masaka. Although it adds a number of kilometers, because that diversion is like 184 kilometers, but the good thing, it is tarmac and motorable, although it adds in some more time, but it is tarmac. What if it was maram? It would be a nightmare. And also, there is an alternative route by water through Nachuo, Goyen, and Entebbe to Bukakata by water at a subsidized price. You pay some little money, and then from Bukakata you can drive to Nyendo de Masaka and continue. Of course, the disadvantage of that is that the ferry goes on specified times, so you must catch up with this program and so forth. Whereas when you go through Sembabule, you can go at your own leisure and pleasure and so forth. But these are alternative routes just in the immediate. UNRWA, the team assembled by UNRWA, the engineers, are already on the ground because the water has already subsided and works have already started. We have divided the work into short term, immediate, short term, and maybe medium long term. The immediate are these alternative routes through Sembabule and the Bokakata. Now, the short term, the engineers are already on the ground putting, I wouldn't call it a temporary bridge, but to make a connection once again for vehicles to cross. So they are now putting a bridge to enable return to normal movement. Only that it will be a single lane where trucks of any size will be able to cross. And we have been assured by the engineers that within 3 weeks, that part will be done.
Be in place.
And the vehicles will be able to cross again. But only that bridge, it will be a single lane, so 2 vehicles cannot cross at once. The other vehicles will wait for this side to cross, and then these ones will cross, but it will be motorable, and we shall be able to return to normal life. And thereafter, we shall put resources as government to construct now a bigger bridge, which will be high-rise, because the profile of the bridge has to be changed, so that you raise it to an extent that next time when the
water level raises,
the water levels raise, they cannot destroy the bridge. I think this was not done initially when they designed the bridge, but this time around it's going to be a new design where you have a raised bridge so that the water cannot put down the bridge. But in 3 weeks, we shall be able to restore a normal flow of transport, yes.
You know, Ugandans are very good at, talking, and when something like that happens, some people will always, have, negative connotations.
Yes.
And some stories out there that probably the bridge wasn't that strong, and when this water, came, it had to, to be swept away. Is this true? The bridge?
Well, I think the
bridge was too strong for it because it was weak.
The bridge is also age. There is aging. Like you are born as a child, you grow and you age and become old. I'm not an engineer by profession, but I'm certain as years go by, bridges, like other structures, also they grow old, they age. So it's an old bridge which was constructed many years back. So we expect it to have been grown. But also, I think the heavy rains have been unprecedented. We have not had this kind of rains. There are those who have been blaming the NRM government for the rains. And I've said, even if it was government, ex-government, why would it stop the rain? I mean, this is a God-given rain. Yes, I know they could come as effects of climatic change, but the heavy rain does not only come here in Uganda. You have seen natural disasters. In Turkey, there was a heavy earthquake claiming lives. So will you blame NRM in Turkey for the earthquake? These natural calamities do occur, and they are regrettable. And I don't think they have anything to do with the government which is in power. But the issue is, when they do happen, how do we respond and ensure that life is not disrupted significantly? So I think the bridge had grown old, and then the water levels substantially rose. And as the water came, it brought all the debris, all the swamps, and I think the heavy road was too much for the bridge, and the bridge gave way. It doesn't only happen here in Uganda, it happens elsewhere. So I don't think it should be a blame game, but rather we should mobilize resources as a government to restore the bridge to enable Ugandans to be able to move. Because right now the cost of transport is getting up, and coming from Barara side to Kampala, a little bit challenging because of the length and the distance. But these are short term. We just want to assure Ugandans that in the coming weeks, a month or so, we shall be able to restore the bridge, and then people will move smoothly like it has been in the past.
Thank you, Minister. And those of you just joining us, we are looking at some of the issues that have been affecting the country, or are still affecting the country. And to shed more light on these issues is the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomusi. Now, time right now is not our best ally, but also one thing that would like probably to have clarity on is about the recent happenings. Remember, Minister Ngola was shot and killed by one of his bodyguards. There is an Indian businessman, a moneylender, who was also shot a few days ago. Now, and these are being shot by the minister, it was a soldier from the UPDF. This one is police. What is government's taking as far as gun misuse or violence is concerned, especially when the people supposed to protect us are the ones who are turning the guns against us?
It is very unfortunate that the people who are supposed to protect us, like we are saying, people who should use the gun properly are the ones turning against us and using it against innocent civilians or innocent Ugandans. It's very regrettable. Like in the case of the minister, the case of this Indian moneylender, I think there was an incident in the Arua.
In Arua, yes.
He also in Wandegea. So we have seen these incidences, and people carrying guns are becoming a nuisance. You know, okay, some people, not everybody. So it's very regrettable. But we just want to comfort people that they should not get distressed. The situation is under control. These are just cases of indisciplined officers. Like in the case of the soldier who killed the minister, up to now, really we can't understand why somebody you have worked with for only 3 weeks
turns the gun
and then you turn a gun against him. Or even this police officer, you have borrowed money, the tune of 2 million. Yes, you can get financial stress, but why should it be so heavy that you take a decision to put out somebody's life? So there are many things which we pick. First of all, investigations are going on in all the situations, all the cases, to, well, like in this case, the culprits are known, but to understand the motivation, why, like in the case of the soldier who killed the minister, but also I think the gives us lessons that in the police, in the army, and all these security forces, maybe we need to do the work better by way of having programs for psychosocial support, assessing the mental status of the soldiers and police officers, people who carry guns, and maybe have better gun control policies, who accesses a gun at what time and when. Like they're saying this police officer either was on leave or not on duty, but how did he access the gun? Because he shot, I was in office and he just shot opposite my office. I heard the gun shots. You wonder, and apparently it appears there are guards who keep that place. So how did he access inside the office when there are guards
with the gun,
and the accesses with the gun, which is having bullets, all these issues. So I think looking back, there are a number of things which we need to put in place, but the people should not get scared.
Because indeed people are scared now.
People are scared. But we need to put psychosocial and counseling programs among the armed forces. Like by the time you deploy a soldier or a police officer to a minister, to a VIP, or by the time you give somebody a gun, there should be a mechanism how to assess the mental conditions of some of these people. And counseling services within these armed forces should also be able to detect some of the pressures people have in their families, at work, so that remedial action can be taken to give them support. You could clearly see that this police officer who shot the Indian, I think had financial stress which had overwhelmed him.
Exactly.
And just saw life as meaningless and just killed this Indian. Yet that's an issue. Even if we had a challenge with the money lender, through the police system, they should have been able to resolve it. But we needed to strengthen support systems within these institutions to avoid some of these. But by and large, the majority of people who hold the guns are still disciplined. These are just few cases of indisciplined people, and we appeal to all those who have a responsibility of serving in security services to remain professional, to remain disciplined. All of us have our own stresses. You may think because I'm a minister, I am comfortable, I have my own challenges, but probably I have enough strength to contain them without showing the public that I'm stressed. So, but people have different thresholds on how they can hold these challenges and stresses. So the leadership, the management of these institutions should be able to put in place programs on how we can provide psychosocial support and counseling services to all our workers.
Okay, Dr.
But there should be no cause for alarm. the government is able to protect all Ugandans, and let us all be security conscious, and we shall do everything possible to see that we streamline how these security agencies are managed.
Now, I don't know what you're going to tell Ugandans right now, but the two cases, to a greater extent, you find that, and those are the stories out there, you say that you find that they are related to finances. The person, the soldier who killed the late minister, it was related to, I don't know, low pay, something of the sort. Now, this one, it's all about money. Do you think government should do something about, remuneration of soldiers and police officers?
Yes, they pay for not only soldiers and
not only them,
officers,
civil servants in general.
Civil servants in general, and we actually have a program to enhance the pay, like we did for scientists, like we've been saying in the public, that we are doing it in a phased manner. Next, we shall do for the non-scientists. But in the case of the minister, I think the issue of pay was hyped, but on a cross analysis of what the problem is, there could be something bigger than just the pay. But we wait for the investigations. Since the army has put a board of inquiries, we hope they will get the root of the matter. Yes, the pay of public servants, especially the lower class, is not necessarily very good. But again, speaking to them, the solution is not to kill others. That cannot be a solution. If you kill the minister whom you are guarding, I don't think your salary will increase the following day. It cannot be a solution. Or you are financially stressed because you borrowed money from this money lender who probably is not cooperating with you. Killing him is also not a solution. We have a fairly functioning judicial system in Uganda. If we are aggrieved with you for whatever reason, the first call should not be to kill you. I can take you to court, I can take you to authorities, and they resolve and mediate us, but not really to kill. So we appeal to all of us Ugandans that let's not really think of killing our neighbors, our friends, our partners, irrespective of whatever could be causing conflicts between us. Let killing and injuring another person not be part of what we think about, because it is shameful. That's how we want to resolve our differences and the conflicts, if any. But definitely the pay, we shall continue to gradually address it as the national envelope improves.
Okay, and finally, Honorable Minister, all these things, actually, what we have just been talking about, they find their way on social media.
Social media.
The reports could be, positive, but to a greater extent, most of the reports are negative, and they are bashing government for all these things. Now, social media,
yes,
it has become a big problem. Instead of helping, it is now actually being misused, and it's going on. The culture of impunity is going on. No one is being actually punished for that. What is your take?
You see, first of all, it has been a deliberate policy of government to liberalize the media space, to expand the media landscape, to enable all of us in Uganda to freely speak and communicate and inform each other. That's why you have many radios, many TV stations, many print media outlets. That's why we have allowed the social media platforms, because the major policy outlook of the NRM is that Ugandans should enjoy their country and be able to freely speak without hindrance. But this freedom must be accompanied with responsibility. It doesn't mean because you have allowed me to come on UBC, I should start insulting you. No, I should speak, but respectfully, and know that there are others. Now, unfortunately, there are a number of Ugandans, people here in this country, who are now abusing that digital space, the social media space. Instead of using the communication to advance development, to facilitate transformation, to inform others of the positive things, they just use the space to vulgarize the whole aspect of communication. We urge you not to attract the government to come up with punitive measures that can actually shrink this space. Because I have been to countries where there is no social media, where you cannot access WhatsApp, you cannot access Facebook, you cannot access this Instagram, Twitter. Those countries are there. But for us, we don't want to go that way unless you invite us to get there. Why should you, for instance, announce people dead on social media when they are not dead, they are still alive? And you very well know that they are alive, but for you find pleasure in announcing somebody dead.
And also celebrating someone's death.
Now we have seen celebrations. A minister is killed, then you are celebrating. I have seen even leaders within the parliament making insinuations as if they are happy. But all of us are mortal human beings, whether you are NRM or opposition or independent. Because you have life, you will lose it at one point.
We are all candidates.
And each one has a way he or she will lose the life. So why should you celebrate somebody's death? I think we should condemn this toxic environment which we have created, especially through politics, where simply because I am NRM and your opposition or your political position is different, then you want us to treat each other as enemies. We are not.
But also means probably Ugandans are taking advantage of the law in place, because it has been going on. People are misusing social media and no one has been taken to book.
We actually have the law, but we have just been a lenient government. We also don't want to be harsh to everybody, but maybe we may have to call upon the law for people to know that some of these things people are doing are wrong and they are offenses under the law. Because naturally, African and Ugandan culture dictates that you don't celebrate death. You don't celebrate sickness when somebody is sick, even if he has been your sworn enemy. But if he is sick, if he has died, if he has lost a dear one, our natural and cultural instinct is to condole and express empathy and sympathy with that person. But this new culture of where people have turned into like animals. Even I don't think animals celebrate when they are
behaving much better than human beings.
Absolutely. Animals are doing much better. So we condemn that kind of behavior which we see among our young people, and it is wrong. It is wrong. Even if we do not agree, whether in the politics or in the family or whatever issue, if somebody dies, we should be able to sympathize and eulogize and express condolences, not celebrate the way we have seen on social media. We came up with a law, the Computer Misuse Act. We may have to invoke it in some of these situations, and the people must know there are offenses which are created under that law. And you can end up in jail by having this kind of celebration on social media. But we are a tolerant government. We don't usually want to invoke the law. Otherwise, if we were to invoke the law in all situations, then people would be battling in the courts of law. But we appeal, let's appeal to our senses that let's remain human and respect each other. We may be of different political views or religious backgrounds, tribal and ethnic backgrounds, but we are all children of the same God, and we are all Ugandans. Therefore, it is wrong to have this narrative that I see of celebrating simply because somebody who comes from government has died, and you don't support the government. But even you, tomorrow, you will die. Even here in central Uganda, maybe it's a political class which has prepared this. You see where there is a death, a government official has gone to support the family and be part of the mourners, and then you see people turning hostile to the person because he's a government minister. And I have seen some members of parliament cheering it. Let them be harassed. But what if, for some of us who come from NRM strongholds, we also incited the people to harass opposition? Is that what we really want? No. Let's be tolerant to each other. Let's be respectful to each other. When it comes, yes, for soliciting political support, we can campaign and support candidates of our choice. But once elections are through, we unite as Ugandans and focus on development and focus on promoting things which build us as a nation and not things which divide us, things which create hatred. This politics of hatred should be condemned by all of us. Let us preach love, let us preach unity, let's preach togetherness, even when we live in diversity.
Thank you so much, Minister, and I think those are your parting shots.
Yes.
And viewer have been interacting with the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, and we've looked at 4 main things today: the Manifesto Week, you know, the current state of Katonga, the bridge, also gun misuse or gun violence, and also social media, how Ugandans are not really using it the way it should be used. Minister, thank you so much for having given us a few minutes of your busy schedule, and we're always happy to have you here at UBC TV. Thank you so much, Via, for having kept it with us, and of course that ends it for now, but I'll be coming back later on at 10 for our final edition of News Tonight. My name is Rukindi Kijanangoma. I'll see you then.